Hello viewers, welcome back. In our previous session, we have discussed about the introduction part or overview of Sqlite database. What are the key classes available for us to design the Sqlite database? In our previous session, we have discussed about Sqlite database overview. What are the key classes available for us? In this session, we will see how to define the schema and how to create a table inside a database and how to design a UI for a particular project. Now we'll create an example with UI design. It's like a project actually. So we'll start the UI of that particular project in this session, and in the future session we will continue further working with the concept of Sqlite database. Now defining the schema. In our previous session we have already discussed to create a Sqlite database, we will use Sqlite Open Helper class, and we are going to create a subclass for that Sqlite Open Helper class, and we'll implement the methods of it. Now in this session, let us see what is mean by a schema. So means nothing but understanding the database and the table, the structure of the table, and all are part of this particular schema. Now I'm just going to create a table called employees data. Inside this, I am going to have only simple columns. I am taking very limited columns like ID, name, and email ID. So ID is in integer, which is going to auto increment when a new field has been added to the database or table, then automatically it will increase its number. The second column is name, where you'll find employee name. The third column is mail of your employee. You can take your employee ID or phone number, or two more columns also you can take. So in the schema definition, first I'm going to define the database first. Okay, it's like a private static final string database name. I'm taking that as employees.db extension, and this is my database name. Inside this database, I'm going to create a table called employees data, and I'm going to define the version of this particular database. That is version number 1, which is a integer, and that is a constant. That's why I'm describing with all uppercase. And then the table name. So I'm just taking the table name as employees data, and this table has 3 columns. These columns are called as the keys. So to understand easily, to identify, and now the keys are ID, name, and email ID. So I'm just creating those keys, or maybe the column names like key underscore ID, that is ID. If you give small I here, it will represent small I. If you give small n, it will represent small n. If you put all capitals here, it will be represented in the capital letter or uppercase. Second column is name, third column is email. So all I have created the final string constants. So when you set anything, any variable with final, you cannot modify the value what you have been set for that. The create table statement will execute this on create table statement inside a on create method of your helper class. So where the database create, you can directly write this create table statement as you already have an idea in the SQL. If not, it's okay. If you are, I hope you might have already have an idea. Where we'll write like create table, table name, and open the bracket. The column 1, type 1, column 2, type 2, column 3, type 3, and so on. And we will end with the close the statement with semicolon. Now, but create table, table name, which already I have defined here in the schema. Table name is nothing but what? Database table. So I'm just taking that as database table, nothing but it will take employees table, comma, open column 1, nothing but key 1. Key ID is already given. And here I'm setting up the type for that. It is an integer type. So primary key, because it's going to play a crucial role for us, and the auto increment. When you add a new record, automatically this value will be increased. And the key name text, key email is also text. So I have already explained everything about difference between Sqlite statements, create table statement, and SQL create table statement. The only thing is irrespective of the data type definition, whatever the column, so you can insert whatever the data you want. Now I'm just going to design a simple UI for our project. In this session, I'm going to just explain, create the name column and email column data. So that is entries for this particular two columns. As we already know, ID is on auto increment. So I need not to call that right now. So, and I need buttons like save button, load button, update and delete buttons. This is what I'm going to design now. Go to your Android Studio, file, new project, take empty activity, click on next. So change this to Sqlite demo or SQL database, whatever you want. Remaining all are same. Click on finish. So it will take few seconds to build your project. You can check the status here. The Gradle build is running. Now, as we already know, for every project, this is very common thing. Just go to main activity. So just go with relative layout, which is comfortable and most preferred, easy way. I need 2 edit text and 4 buttons. Simple. We already know that. Open angular bracket, edit text, width, match parent, height, wrap content. There should be a hint to the user. It must be a string reference, hint underscore name. There is no such string, so create it. It is a name. And there should be an input type. It's going to be text person name you can give. Close this. And I need one more edit text like this. Then copy this, paste it. Both seems to be bumped up each other. So what should I do? I am working with relative layout. So I just create an ID for this. There will be a sibling relation or parent relation. I am working with sibling relation mostly in this project. The first one is like what? Name et. So name edit text, name underscore et. And where this should be below of your name et. So I got this. And the hint to be changed, hint underscore email. There is no such string. Create it. Just to say email. Don't type like email address and all. Just make it clean and crisp. This is text email address input type. Done. Now I need buttons here. Width wrap content, height is also wrap content, and I'm just going to add text to this. That is a string reference. So simply I'm going to take this as btn underscore save or save btn, whatever you feel comfortable. As I said, prefix or suffix. So simply save. Done. But actually this should be below of your email edit text. So create an ID for the email edit text. That is email underscore et. So now this should be below of your email edit text. And we know that there should be an on-click attribute to perform the click functionality. How it should be? Simply say save data. There is no such method. Create it inside your onCreate method. We will implement that later. So this is clear, right? Next, create an ID for this button as well. Now I'm going to work with all of this. So this is going to be save underscore btn. Done. Just to save the time copying, because I am going to create multiple buttons here. And this is going to be load data. On click, I'm taking load data. Create a method. Change your ID of this to load button. And it should be below of your email edit text only, but to the end of what? Save button. Just you take to end of save button. And the text should be button load. Alt enter. You can say load. And these two seems to be patched up or bumped up, whatever you call. Just say margin end. to 10 dp or 8 dp, whatever you feel comfortable. Do the same thing, margin and 10 dp. You can see both are differentiated with each other. All done. Like this, we need two more, update and delete. Now I'm just going to take another button called update button id. So next, update data. There is no such method. Alt enter. Create this inside your on main activity.java. The string is going to be button. Just taken button as btn as a prefix because it is a text. So for the IDs, I have taken post suffix, what you call it as button update. So alt enter, create a string value, name it as update, done. Okay, that I hit save button, and this is load button. Okay, it should be to end of load button. On click update data, update button. So here button text is going to be update. There is no such thing. Alt enter, create this update, and should be below of your email edit text and to the end of your load button. So that's it's given. All done. Next, finally, delete button. Of course, you do not require any ID for this, to be say frankly. Delete data. The button is going to be string. I'm calling like delete. There is no such string yet. Create a string. Just name it as delete, and this is below of your email edit to end of your load, save, update. It is to write off your update button and delete, create method inside your main activity is delete data, and finally this is going to be the margin end. I'm going to take 10 dp for the update button. So that this is how it looks like. Let me run this code and check whether it is working properly or not. So open your emulator. Gradle build is running, launching activity. So the UI has been successfully launched on the emulator. So I have an name field to enter the name and email field to enter the email. When the user click on save button, his details is going to be saved in the this. So now this is all about designing the UI for this Sqlite database project, and in this next session we are going to work out how to create a Sqlite database and save button, means inserting the data when the user click on save button. Thanks for watching guys. Let's catch up in the next session.